The disgraced former president and president-elect Donald Trump, in his interview with Meet the Press, he was asked about the minimum wage, and for the first time admitted that it was probably too low a number.
The federal minimum wage has been $7.25 since 2009. Are you going to raise the federal
It's a very low
minimum wage?
number. I will agree. It's a very low number. Let me give you the downside, though.
Yeah.
In California, they raised it up to a very high number. And your restaurants are going out of business all over the place. The population is shrinking. It's had a very negative impact. But there is a level at which you could do it, absolutely. Yeah.
What is that level, do you
I don't
think?
know. I mean, I really don't know. I can say this. You have a lot of businesses that are open and thriving because of the lower minimum wage. If you raise it too much, and you understand this, if California went crazy.
California did not go crazy. It is still the fifth richest economy in the world. There is no mass exodus from California, as Donald Trump claims. There are just as many people coming into California to start their businesses. And $15 an hour, which California decided was the very least that people deserved in order to pay the cost of living, $15 an hour. Just think of that. Donald Trump is still thinking that $7 is enough. $7 an hour for labor, often manual labor or hard labor, or the kind of labor that requires you to be on your feet or to carry things and lift things to get work-related injuries. $7 an hour. The problem with Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans is that they pretended to be on the side of regular working people. But now that he's secured the presidency, courtesy of his wealthy friends buying him this election and interference from Russia and a gigantic disinformation campaign, Donald Trump is about to renege on all of the claims that he made during the campaign. He admitted there isn't really a way to bring down the price of groceries. Groceries, by the way, a word that he thinks he invented.
Groceries. It's a very simple word, groceries. Like almost, who uses the word? I started using the word, the groceries. When you buy apples, when you buy bacon, when you buy eggs.
We are now living in a post-election Trump apocalypse where your rights, your entitlements, the cost of living, the cost of healthcare, the cost of services, the cost of things that you were managing before will now become much more expensive. And under Donald Trump, there is little chance that your wages will rise in order to keep pace with those costs. The whole thing with Trump has been a giant confidence trick, and everything that Donald Trump says is performative. He really does not care about working people. He announced on Truth Social that if you are a billionaire and you want to bring your billions to the United States, that he will cut you a deal and he will expedite the process so that you don't have to deal with regulations, especially when it comes to environmental matters. I mean, this is corruption, pure and simple. And his theory that, the richer the country gets, the trickle-down effect will benefit average workers is a completely flawed concept. There is no such thing as trickle-down economics. It was invented by the Republicans to keep working people quiet. And the reason that my analysis continues is because it's unlikely that Donald Trump is going to give interviews like this going forward. He doesn't enjoy it. He doesn't like a hostile interviewer. And as this particular interview with Kristen Welker goes on, he becomes more and more agitated. But let's just listen to what he says about immigration, lying about the number of criminals that have entered the United States.
So we had 11,000 and 13,000 different estimates, 13,099 murderers released into our country over the last 3 years. They're walking down the streets. They're walking next to you and your family, and they're very dangerous.
The 13,000 figure, I think, goes back about 40 years.
No, it doesn't. No,
that
it's within the 3-year period.
figure.
It's during the Biden term. No, that was a fiction that they put that out. This was done by the Border Patrol. It's 13,099, and it's during the Biden period of time. And these are murderers, many of whom murdered more than one person. You don't want those people in this country.
But you're saying something, sir, that's significant. I just want to make sure I'm clear, which is that you're saying, yes, you're going to focus on the people with criminal histories, but everyone who's here illegally has to go.
I'm saying this. We have to get the criminals out of our country. We have to get people that were taken out of mental institutions and put them back into their mental institution, no matter what country it is. Do you know that Venezuela, their prisons are at the lowest point in terms of emptiness?
Trump has taken a figure, 13,099, which, as the interviewer quite rightly says, is the number of people who have been convicted of serious crimes who were not eligible to be in the United States. But it's over 40 years. That is a 40-year figure that Donald Trump has condensed into 3 years, blames Biden. When there's pushback on that number, he says, no, that was false. That's something that they put out. Again, referring to Biden as the propagandist, when we know that Donald Trump is simply lying. How do you take a number such as 13,099, a very specific number, and claim that it's a 3-year number rather than a 40-year number? This is who Donald Trump is. He cares nothing for the truth. He cares nothing for facts. He cares nothing for data. Unfortunately, if we don't have interviewers who are prepared to hold the line, he will simply be able to get away with it. And he knows that he can, which is why he's prepared to say anything and then put his stamp of authoritarianism over it so that he can't be questioned.
Is it realistic to deport everyone who's here illegally?
You have no choice. First of all, they're costing us a fortune. But we're starting with the criminals, and we got to do it. And then we're starting with others, and we're going to see how it goes.
Who are the others?
Others are other people outside of criminals. We have convicted murders. We don't mean people that are even on trial. We have people that have murdered numerous people are on our streets and in our farms, and we have to get them out of our country.
Trump's on a lying spree right now, isn't he? Talking about mental institutions. He was doing this on the campaign and trying to scare people, saying that you're walking down the street and you're walking alongside murderers and rapists. This xenophobia, this racism is so very blatant. It is not based in truth or fact. And as I've said before, immigrants come to the United States to integrate, to assimilate, and mostly to work, to contribute. And they contribute billions to the US economy every single year. But Donald Trump conveniently forgets all of this, because by creating some kind of evil distraction, making people remain in fear of their lives, the authoritarian then can position himself as the savior.
I don't want to be breaking up families, so the only way you don't break up the family is you keep them together and you have to send them all back.
Even kids who are here legally?
Well, what you're going to do if they want to stay with the father? Look, we have to have rules and regulations. You can always find something out like, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. We don't have to separate families. Yeah. We'll send the whole family very humanely back to the country where they came. That way the family's not separated.
Trump's solution for the family separation policy is just to deport the entire family. Genius. It's really very sad because people's lives hang in the balance. People's existence in the United States hangs in the balance. And Donald Trump, who is extremely lazy and really, you can see from this interview, he's lethargy, he's disinterested, he's just feeling like he's being asked questions that he simply doesn't want to answer because he doesn't care.
Even though you're very hostile, I'm able to go on a show like yours. No, you are.
Well, hopefully you thought it was a fair interview. We covered a lot of policy ground.
Well, it's fair only in that you allowed me to say what I say. But, the answers, the questions are, pretty nasty. But look, because I've seen you interview other people like Biden. And
I've never interviewed President Biden, actually.
When I say you, I'm talking metaphorically. I've seen...
Okay.
I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with Midas Touch.